Have you ever fallen in love so fast, so deeply, that it felt like destiny, only to realize you barely knew the person at all? What if I told you that kind of connection might have nothing to do with them? According to Keanu Reeves, the real reason behind intense attraction is far more disturbing, and it starts within you. In this video, we're diving into the hidden architecture of love, how your unconscious mind resurrects forgotten memories, unmet desires, and lost versions of yourself, and projects them onto someone else. That overwhelming pull you felt, it might not have been love. It might have been your past, reaching out through a stranger. If you've ever been heartbroken, ghosted, or trapped in a connection that made no sense but felt impossible to escape, stay until the end. Because what you're about to discover will completely change the way you understand love and yourself. According to Keanu, love is not some spontaneous romantic accident, nor a lightning bolt that suddenly strikes the heart. It is the quiet result of an internal process, a structured, hidden alignment within the soul that often goes unnoticed by the eye. That feeling of instant connection with someone, it's rarely just coincidence. More often, it's the merging of past experiences, unhealed wounds, and forgotten pieces of ourselves. When you feel like someone has touched the deepest part of your soul with nothing more than a glance or a single sentence, you might be experiencing what's known as projection. Each of us carries buried inner images, versions of who we once were or who we long to become. These images don't disappear. They simply retreat into the shadows, waiting for the right moment to be revived. And when you meet someone whose appearance, energy, or personality matches those hidden fragments, something stirs inside you. It feels like you've known them forever, like something invisible is pulling you toward them. But in truth, what you're seeing isn't entirely them. You're seeing yourself, reflected through their presence. Imagine someone who spent their entire life emotionally guarded, always in control, terrified of getting hurt. Then one day, they meet someone who lives freely, emotionally raw, unafraid to be vulnerable. Instantly, they're drawn in. It's not just admiration. It resonates. That person embodies a part of them that was long suppressed, a version of themselves that never got to breathe. That magnetic pull is real, but its origin lies deep within, where the soul longs to grow, to heal, and to expand beyond its boundaries. And it works the other way, too. Sometimes people are drawn to you, not because you're beautiful or intelligent or charming, but because, unknowingly, you symbolize something they lack. You become a living reflection of what they've always yearned for, a confidence they've never felt, a tenderness they've always missed, a sense of safety they've been chasing their whole life. You may not even realize what part of them you're touching, but their subconscious mind knows. And it's that subconscious pull that chooses you. This is the invisible architecture of love, not a surface-level attraction, but a tapestry woven from old wounds, hidden selves, and dormant potentials. Once you understand this, love no longer appears as a matter of fate or luck. It becomes a profound meeting of two souls, each reflecting, revealing, and helping the other become whole. That's why some loves change us forever. Because the other person isn't just someone we adore. They become a mirror that shows us what we've lost and who we have the potential to become. So the next time someone is intensely drawn to you, remember this. They may not love you just for who you are, but for what you represent, something sacred, something deep, something essential to their inner journey. And the same is true for you. Love doesn't happen randomly. It's a resonance, two inner worlds trying to heal, to grow, and to complete each other. Do you know the real reason why someone might be intensely drawn to you? It's not because you're perfect. It's because, often without realizing it, you represent something they're missing. Love, in many cases, doesn't arise from similarity. It's born from absence. It emerges from a gap in their inner world, a part of themselves that hasn't yet been awakened, hasn't had the chance to grow, or was buried long ago. And somehow, through your natural presence, they see that missing piece for the very first time. It's not just a case of opposites attract. It's deeper. It's about recognition. A logical, reserved person may fall for someone who lives openly and emotionally. An introvert might be captivated by someone brimming with life and spontaneity. A rule-bound, structured individual may find themselves completely drawn to someone who is wild, carefree, and unpredictable. But here's where it gets dangerous. If they don't realize that what they admire in you is actually something they have the potential to cultivate within themselves, the attraction can become unhealthy. Instead of learning from you, they might begin to depend on you, not out of love, but out of an unconscious need they can't name. They cling to you like you're the only source that can fill their internal void. And when that need shifts, or when you, in your simple, authentic humanity, no longer fit their idealized image, the attraction starts to fade. This is the shadow side of projection. When we fall in love with an image our mind has created, not with the real, living person in front of us, the relationship is built on a fragile illusion. And when that illusion breaks, love often breaks with it. This idea goes even deeper with the concepts of anima and animus, the archetypal images of the opposite gender that live deep within each of us. Every man carries within him an unconscious image of the feminine, called the anima. Every woman carries an inner image of the masculine, called the animus. These aren't cultural preferences or social roles. They're ancient symbols shaped by early relationships, especially with parents, and reinforced through myths, stories, and the collective human psyche. Over time, these images become emotional templates, powerful internal blueprints we carry with us without even knowing. Then one day, you meet someone who seems to match that blueprint perfectly. And when that happens, the attraction can be overwhelming. You may have just met them, yet feel like you've known them forever. Everything feels fated. One look, one smile, one sound of their voice is enough to awaken a deep familiarity, like your soul has met theirs long, long ago. But Keanu Reeves would remind you of something important. That intense pull isn't fate. It's not proof of some destined soulmate. It's your mind seeing a reflection of your own inner architecture in another human being. That reflection awakens emotions that feel like a forgotten memory. But behind that breathtaking experience is a quiet truth. You're not really in love with them. You're in love with what they represent within you. Maybe it's the gentleness you've always lacked, the strength you've secretly longed for, the freedom you've never dared to live. That's why it feels like you've found your other half. But in truth, what you've found is the missing piece of yourself. And if you don't recognize that, love can become a trap, a place where you chase illusions instead of truth, a place where you expect someone to play a role they were never meant to sustain. So if you've ever loved someone deeply, almost unconsciously, ask yourself, are you truly loving them for who they are or for what they symbolize in your inner world? And if someone loves you with an overwhelming intensity, don't rush to believe it's because you're special. You might simply be reflecting back to them a fragment of their soul they've never fully known. But that doesn't mean their love isn't real. It is real because it was born from the deepest part of their being. What matters is our awareness. To understand that the deepest love isn't about finding someone to complete us. It's about realizing we can become whole on our own. And sometimes, someone doesn't enter your life to stay. They come to awaken a part of you that's never had a name, until now. Have you ever wondered why certain relationships ignite such an intense, unexplainable emotion within you? As if something ancient, buried deep inside, suddenly awakened the moment your eyes met? Keanu Reeves once shared a second reason for this phenomenon. It's because, unknowingly, you triggered an unconscious image that the other person had carried within them for years. It wasn't your looks or your behavior that drew them in. It was the way you mirrored an emotional energy, a long-held archetype in their inner world. That's why their feelings for you came on fast, fierce, and seemingly irrational. But here's the truth. That attraction may have had little to do with you at all. They didn't fall for you as a person. They fell for the symbol you represented in their psyche. You stopped being simply human. You became a projection screen for an ideal that had formed in their subconscious long before you arrived. A sacred image, a nameless dream, a symbolic figure they had unknowingly been waiting for. And then, as the reality of who you are slowly begins to emerge, your flaws, contradictions, your deeply human imperfections, the idealized image starts to crack. What once felt magical becomes complicated. What was once glorified now makes them uncomfortable, uncertain, maybe even disillusioned. Conflict arises, expectations collapse, and love built on illusion spirals into chaos. This is why so many relationships that feel like destiny in the beginning often end in heartbreak, because they weren't grounded in true understanding between two people. They were built on an unconscious script trying to play itself out in the real world. But no one can live forever as a symbol. No one can carry the weight of someone else's lifelong dream. And yet, Keanu never sees this kind of projection as a failure. On the contrary, he sees it as a necessary stage in the journey of the soul. Because love is not merely an emotional experience, it's a vehicle for transformation. Every person we've ever loved has been a mirror, and what we saw in them was often something we needed to recognize in ourselves. Some people reflect our forgotten potential. Others awaken our deepest fears. Some spark our creativity. Others force us to face insecurities we've long buried. But all of them serve the same deeper purpose, to push us toward becoming our whole selves. When someone falls in love with you, they may believe they've seen something magical in you. And they're not wrong. There is something magical. But it's not you per se. It's what you stirred awake inside them. You're not just a person. You're a symbol, a milestone, a psychological invitation. And this goes both ways. The people you've fallen in love with, especially those who shook your world, changed you, or even broke you. They weren't just random encounters. They were messengers of meaning, catalysts for your inner transformation. Some came to awaken what had been sleeping in you. Others arrived to teach you lessons you tried to avoid. Some simply showed you a reflection of yourself, distorted or clear, depending on how ready you were to face the truth. Not all of these connections were meant to last. Some were only meant to break patterns. Others existed solely to disrupt old frameworks. These moments are what Jungians call meaningful coincidences, not always logical, but deeply significant. When someone appears right at the moment your heart is most vulnerable, it might not be chance. It might be a sign that your unconscious and theirs has decided the time is right. That encounter becomes proof that change has already begun. Even the relationships that end in pain, the scars that still ache, they're not mistakes. They are necessary experiences, carving out the depths of your inner self. So why do people fall in love with you? Because you awaken something in them they had long forgotten, or you reflect a piece of them they've been desperately searching for. In both cases, that love was never just about you. It was always part of their journey towards self-growth. And the same goes for you. You will always be drawn to people who mirror the parts of you that are missing. People who resemble your inner image, who, knowingly or not, carry the key to the next chapter in your soul's growth. But if you don't recognize these patterns, you'll stay stuck, falling for the wrong people, hitting dead ends, repeating old wounds. You'll think you're unlucky in love, when in truth, your subconscious has been trying to teach you a lesson you haven't yet had the courage to learn. Keanu Reeves once said, "The key is awareness." When you understand the unconscious images, the inner patterns, the deeply embedded scripts within your mind, you stop searching for someone to fill the void. Instead, you begin the journey of becoming whole from within. And from that moment on, love is no longer a fantasy or a fear. It becomes something real, grounded, and free. Because in the end, the deepest love isn't about finding the perfect person. It's about awakening the forgotten parts of yourself. You don't just love others. You love the version of yourself they help you discover. Through Keanu Reeves' lens, we realize love has never only been about them. It has always been a journey back to you. Sometimes the most intense relationship isn't about the other person. It's about what they awaken in us. As Keanu Reeves reminds us, love can be a mirror, reflecting the parts of ourselves we've forgotten, avoided, or long to become. If this video sparked something inside you, Let it be your motivation, not to chase someone else, but to understand yourself more deeply. Because when you see love clearly, you stop searching for completion in others and start building it within. Thank you for watching. And remember, your next relationship could begin the moment you finally reconnect with the one person who matters most, you. If this message moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us on this journey of self-discovery, motivation, and deeper relationships, just like Keanu Reeves has inspired us to do.